We should remember both Dr. Price and Dan Taylor, and we should recall that they did enjoy liberty of conscience. They were not threatened by the Inquisition or the dungeon of the Scarlet Whore of Babylon. Dissent's term for Erastianism, in the first place the papacy and the Roman Church, but often attached to the Church of England or any church accused of prostituting its spiritual virtue to reasons of state and worldly power. Cobbett recalled, I most firmly believed when I was a boy that the Pope was a prodigious woman dressed in a dreadful robe, which had been made red by being dipped in the blood of Protestants. The very anarchy of old dissent, with its self governing churches and its schisms, meant that the most unexpected and unorthodox ideas might suddenly appear. In a Lincolnshire village, a Midlands market town, a Yorkshire pit, in the Somerset woolen town of Frome, Wesley noted in his journal in 1768, there was a mixture of men of all opinions, Anabaptists, Quakers, Presbyterians, Arians, Antinomians, Moravians, and what not. Scottish tradesmen and artisans brought other sects into England. In the last decades of the 18th century, the Glassites or Sandemanians made a little headway with their zealous church discipline, their belief that the distinctions of civil life were annihilated in the church, and that membership implied some community of goods, and, in the view of critics, their inordinate spiritual pride and neglect of the poor, ignorant, perishing multitude. Despite their severity, the Sandemanians were less bigoted than other dissenters about some social observances and approved of the theatre. By the end of the century, there were Sandemanian societies in London, Nottingham, Liverpool, Whitehaven, and Newcastle. The intellectual history of dissent is made up of collisions, schisms, mutations, and one feels often that the dormant seeds of political radicalism lie within it, ready to germinate whenever planted in a beneficent and hopeful social context. Thomas Spence, who was brought up in a Sandemanian family, delivered a lecture to the Newcastle Philosophical Society in 1775, which contained in outline his whole doctrine of agrarian socialism. And yet it was not until the 1790s that he commenced his serious public propaganda. Tom Paine, with his Quaker background, had shown little sign of his outrageously heterodox political views during his humdrum life as an exciseman at Lewes. The context was hopeless. Politics seemed a mere species of jockeyship. Within 1 year of his arrival in America, November 1774, he had published Common Sense and the Crisis articles, which contain all the assumptions of rights of man. I have an aversion to monarchy as being too debasing to the dignity of man, he wrote, but I never troubled others with my notions till very lately, nor ever published a syllable in England in my life. What had changed was not Paine, but the context in which he wrote. The seed of Rights of Man was English, but only the hope brought by the American and French revolutions enabled it to strike. If some sect of old descent had set the pace of the evangelical revival instead of John Wesley, then 19th century nonconformity might have assumed a more intellectual and democratic form. But it was Wesley, high Tory in politics, sacerdotal in his approach to organization, who first reached Christ's poor, breaking the Calvinist taboo with the simple message, "You have nothing to do but save souls. Outcasts of men, to you I call, harlots and publicans and thieves." He spreads his arms to embrace you all. Sinners alone his grace receives. No need for him the righteous have. He came the lost to seek and save. Come, O my guilty brethren, come, groaning beneath your load of sin. His bleeding heart shall make you room. His open side shall take you in. He calls you now, invites you home. Come, O my guilty brethren, come.